and get started. So welcome everyone to this presentation. We have today a wonderful lineup of individuals within Mode designed to help you learn more about Visual Explorer. So my name is James Lucas. I'm the product marketing manager here at Mode, one of many. And today with me, I have many individuals who will be on call today to, one, tell you the Visual Explorer story, and to answer questions at the very end of any type of curiosity that you may have relating to Visual Explorer. So first, we'll start with Derek, and then we'll move on to Ying, our product manager, and then Johnny. I guess in response to Neha's question, we'll be providing a short little demo so you can actually see what Visual Explorer is capable of. Now, before we get started, let's go ahead and ask a little question. So we have a poll for everyone. If you could just take a moment to answer that, that would help us understand exactly who we're speaking to. So I'll give everyone just a few seconds to answer that poll, and then we'll rejoin. Let's give it around about 4 questions. Let's give it around 20 seconds. So off to the races. All right, I think that is enough time for responses. Let's go ahead and see those answers now. Excellent, excellent. So from the looks of this, we have a lot of analysts and data scientists on this presentation. So thank you so much. We absolutely value your contribution to Mode as well. We love our customers, and we often make products for yourselves. So thank you very much, analysts and data scientists. But we also have sales and marketing and finance and HR and all important product on the call as well. So thank you all for joining us. We'll make sure to not forget you during our presentation. And it looks like the majority of individuals produce insights primarily for the marketing and customer success and leadership teams. That is absolutely terrific. And we have about 26% of individuals on this call today who are new to Mode. So I wanted to extend a warm, hearty thank you to all the new prospects of people who are new to Mode, who want to learn about Visual Explorer. So with that, I will pass it off to Derek, our CEO, to give you the background about why our product is so amazing and why it's so revolutionary. So Derek, take the floor.
Thanks, James. So, for those of you who are new to Mode, I started this company about eight and a half years ago, very much by analysts for analysts. I was a practitioner myself and had worked at a couple companies that really knew how to do data right and thought, okay, they're all following a common pattern. I want to go out and make that available to everyone else out there. And we really have seen a lot of success in partnership with the folks in the modern data stack, the Redshifts and the Snowflakes and DBTs and Fivetrans and those folks to create a modern way of doing data analysis. Somewhere along the way, we realized that making analysts and data scientists successful doesn't just mean helping them, it means making their internal customers successful, making them look great in the eyes of their internal customers, and ultimately making the entire company successful, because that's what we do as data practitioners is we try to help our company make better decisions. Now, a lot of the time at Mode, we have to choose. Are we making a feature that supports analysts and data scientists, or are we making something that's going to be good for everybody else? And the Visual Explorer launch is one of these rare times when we get to deliver something that makes the Mode experience a lot better for basically everyone who uses our product. So I'm really excited to have it out in the world. We've been working on this thing for a while now in one form or another. And it started a few years ago when we looked at modes visualizations and said, there's a lot more that we can do. Right? We needed beautiful visualizations that can be formatted really nicely to present information, but that's not really enough. What our customers were asking us for was greater interactivity, because analysts and their internal customers all needed to do things like drill downs and pivots. Once you've completed some piece of analysis, there's always going to be follow-on work, additional questions, and we wanted to make those things possible, but also as easily as possible. That's what led us to create our in-memory data engine, Helix. So some of you may be familiar with Mode from a few years back. We introduced this thing, Helix, which can do super fast filtering and pivoting operations on larger scale data than any of our competitors. So you can shove 10 gigs of data into this thing and get really fast operations on top of it visually, right? A powerful engine like that deserves a great front end. And so once we launched Helix, it was time to deliver a world-class visual exploration experience on top of it. And that's what we've done here with Visual Explorer. What the team's going to show you today is a huge evolution in what Mode can do, not just in terms of adding lots more options for formatting of different chart types and that kind of thing. This is a new analysis tool. Now, we still have the old charting system, which we now call quick charts. And I'm especially proud of how we've integrated these two concepts. So if what you want to do is your workflow exists in SQL and you just want to kind of knock out a quick bar chart on top of a query that you've written, that's still something that we support. And it's going to be really easy to do that forever in Mode. But if you want to promote that into something, maybe add a second axis, add facets to it, you'll see all of this stuff today. You're going to be able to do that with Visual Explorer, and you'll be able to easily promote from our quick charts into Visual Explorer. Okay, so this is a big leap forward. I want to highlight too that it is just the beginning. Right? The team has been working hard on this particular, just this front end for a year, and has made really fast progress. The next set of features is coming really soon. You can expect a steady drumbeat of improvements on this starting as early as January and continuing throughout the next year and probably in perpetuity. So with that, I will pass it over to Ying, who has done an incredible job as the product manager on Visual Explorer. She's going to tell you a little bit more about what we've created. Go for it, Ying.
Hey everyone, so thank you for the intro, Derek. My name is Ying and I am the product manager who is working on the Visual Explorer. And today I also wanted to start off by kind of continuing the history lesson that Derek started off with and talking about how the Visual Explorer came about. Next slide, please. So throughout Mode's history, pretty much, we've always gotten different feature requests to make our visualizations better. And I'm sure a lot of you have submitted such feature requests yourselves. But the thing is that different people care about different things for different analyses. So while pivot tables may solve one use case for one analysis, for example, someone else might actually really need custom colors. And the challenge for Mode was really keeping up with every one of your needs. Next slide, please. In contrast, because Visual Explorer is built upon concepts from the grammar of graphics, it's a generalized framework that will help you answer complex business questions in a flexible environment. So previously in Mode, you had to have done a lot of your data exploration or your data manipulation in SQL because you were limited in what you could do in our old system, what we call quick charts. But with Visual Explorer, you can now hopefully very quickly and flexibly test your hypotheses directly in the visualizations layer so that you can start to move a lot of that data grunging out of SQL. Next slide, please. And what does that look like in the product? So hopefully you might find these product screenshots a little familiar. These are our quick charts today. So first, you typically choose a chart type that you want. And depending on your selection, the drop zone and the configurations will change accordingly. So for example, if I chose to make a line chart, I will always have like the x-axis, a y-axis, and a color inputs. If I choose to create a pie chart, I'm going to have color and angle, and so on. And there are pros and cons to this approach. The pro is that this is easy to learn. And if what you want to build is simple and contained in these existing configurations, then it's also really quick. The con is that if you want to start to build something a little bit more advanced, you start to hit walls fairly quickly. So for example, if I wanted to build a line chart here with dual axes, there isn't a way for me to do that natively in quick charts today. Next slide, please. In the Visual Explorer, however, because it's the more flexible and configurable environment, instead of fixed inputs, you instead have these more like generalized configurations, which are columns, which is just like what data do you want to display horizontally, rows, which is like just what data do you want to display vertically. And then lastly, you have your layer section, which is like, okay, you have your data now, how do you want to display that? And the flexibility of this environment is what hopefully will enable you to create wildly different visualizations, such as this pivot table with conditional formatting, or this faceted bar chart. And this is all done in the same environment. Next slide, please. And hopefully the Visual Explorer would resonate with you, just like how it did with Evan. So Evan is a senior data scientist at COM who told us about how the Visual Explorer allows him to work faster and consequently unlock more insights. So he's able to go from one idea to the next very quickly and without having to go back to SQL. Consequently, that allows him to be more productive and to spend more of his time uncovering new insights instead of rewriting his SQL. Next slide, please. So at this point, I'm going to pass it back to James to talk about how the Visual Explorer and Helix will work together.
Hello, and thank you very much, Yang. So the impressive thing about Visual Explorer is the fact that it works in conjunction with Helix. That allows us to provide you the ability to take in up to 10 gigs of data and then begin to explore that in a stunningly fast way. And one of the most frequent compliments that we heard during the EA period, during the beta period, was just how quickly people could explore their information. And all of that is possible. All of Visual Explorer is made possible by the benefits of Helix. So moving forward, we now offer Visual Explorer for stunningly fast data exploration, and what we believe is a game changer in the world of analytics. So there are many benefits to Visual Explorer, again, inspired by the grammar of graphics. You have the ability to build pivot tables, combo charts, have charts with multiple measures, and all of this enables you to build incredibly expressive, incredibly more descriptive charts that save a lot of time for the end users who need those insights. And importantly, one aspect that we heard time and time again is the ability to modify colors. So for example, if you wanted to emphasize one particular data point in a bar chart, you now have the ability to do that. As well, all importantly, with us, you have the ability to perform codeless table calculations and transformation to make data that much more easily available to everyone. And what are the benefits? Again, the most important benefit is that exploration part. You have an idea, you want to test a hypothesis. What do you do? Where do you start? And Visual Explorer makes that easy. And when you look at your entire workflow, it allows you to go back to our old mantra, from data to answers, the fastest in the industry. And so with that, I think it's proper now to skip right to the demo. So I'm going to pass it off to Johnny. Johnny, are you good?
I am. Thank you, James.
Awesome. Let me pass the screen off to you.
Cool. Hello, everyone. My name is Johnny, and I'm on the solutions team here at Mode. On today's webinar, you've heard from Derek, Ying, and James on different elements of Mode's new Visual Explorer. And now I'm going to show you the Visual Explorer in action. The whole demo should only take about 10 minutes. And if you have questions during the demo, feel free to post them in the Q&A section of the webinar. With that, let's dive in. So before we create an analysis from scratch and I show you how this new system complements Mode's quick charts, let's first discuss how they differ from each other. At its core, the Visual Explorer is a flexible graphic environment. Similar to how we have grammar in English that allows us to combine words to form interpretable sentences, the grammar of graphics provides a rule set that enables you to configure your visualization in numerous ways. This flexibility is why the Visual Explorer is great for data exploration, whereas Mode's quick charts are better for when you know what specific chart type you want and provide a quick way for you to create it. Another great benefit of the Visual Explorer is the customizability of the visualizations themselves. You can get more specific when it comes to formatting and coloring than you would with quick charts. Let's begin on a finished report with some sample visualizations that have been built using this new system. I'm just going to fix my blinds here. All right. So for this demonstration, I've queried some sample data on a fictional paper company called Dunder Mifflin, and I created an analysis on how each rep is doing, broken down by various dimensions, including region, payment cycle, and quarter. If you're familiar with Mode, you may already see the value in these more flexible charts and graphs, but let's talk about them a little further, starting at the top here. As you can see, we have a pivot table that has been formatted using conditional formatting. We also have a multifaceted bar chart. Oh, look, Dwight seems to be doing pretty well. Let's remember this when we build our next analysis from scratch. We even have some dual axes combo charts, as well as some faceted combo charts. Moving down the report, you can see just how flexible this new visualization system is. We have crosstab pie charts, multi-dimensional scatter plots, as well as this cool funnel chart. All right, now that you've seen what Mode's new visualization system can do, let's build an analysis from scratch using it. Remember how well Dwight did? Let's use the Visual Explorer to see why that happened. Let's quickly pull in our Dunder Mifflin dataset using SQL, which we've done here. This dataset is in the tutorial schema in Mode's public warehouse, which you can query yourself. If we want, we could use Mode's quick charts to begin answering why Dwight had such a good year. You may already be familiar with these quick charts. These are great if you already know what your data looks like and know what you want to create, but they're not conducive for exploring your data. You often still have to write SQL to get your data in the right shape for quick charts. Instead, let's go ahead and explore our data using the Visual Explorer. As I mentioned before, Mode built this new system using an approach called the grammar of graphics. Instead of selecting your axes first, as you would with quick charts, the Visual Explorer allows you to separate your data into columns and rows. This gives you the flexibility to explore your data and decide how you want to visualize it while you're building it. If you're familiar with Mode, you may notice this area of the visualization builder is a bit different than what you might be accustomed to. We have three new sections here in the Visual Explorer environment: columns, rows, and layers. As we move through the demo, we will highlight each of these new sections. To begin, let's see what happens when we drag a dimension into rows. As you can see, a table is created, and each row in my table is an individual account manager. Now let's drag a measure into columns. Just like that, we have a bar graph. If we want, we can add a second measure into columns. When I do this, two things are going to happen. First, my Visual Explorer will turn into a faceted chart. And second, my two measures will appear within the layers section. Check this out. Boom, a faceted chart. Each measure in this chart can be customized in this layers section. We can change the visual representation of each measure by clicking the measure and selecting which visual we want. We can even add a measure to any of the following: color, size, text, or detail. We'll cover these later on in the demo, but for the purposes of this analysis, we need to clean up this visual a bit. Let's change sum rating to average rating. While Dwight is closing the most business, he doesn't seem to be rated very highly compared to the other salespeople at Dunder Mifflin. I wonder how big his deal sizes are and if that could have something to do with it. Thanks to Mode's Visual Explorer, we can answer this question pretty quickly. Let's add average price to columns. There is no limit to how many measures you can add to these sections in Mode's Visual Explorer. With this analysis, we can see that Michael Scott is closing the largest deals. This visual is pretty cool, and it tells us a lot. Even better, it only took about 1 minute to create. Let's build two more charts with the Visual Explorer, starting with the pivot table. I can create a pivot table by adding a dimension to both columns and rows. And adding a measure to text. With just a few clicks, we have a pivot table. If we want, we can export this pivot table as a CSV and share it with our colleagues. Or we can slice this table by even more dimensions within Mode's Visual Explorer. Yeah, let's do that. We can add another dimension here, maybe status. Another key feature to highlight within the Visual Explorer is our quick calculation feature. Let's say we wanted to see the percentage of total quantity each account manager had in their respective regions. We can select quick calculation from this dropdown. This allows us to see the percentage of total sales in each region, and you can also calculate the percent difference and difference in this dropdown. Now, another key piece of the Visual Explorer that we have not yet talked about is our new and improved Format tab. You have the ability to get even more granular than quick charts in this new formatting window. Let's change the number format to %. You can also customize the data points even more than in quick charts using this new formatting window. It appears that 50% of Dwight's returned orders are from the Midwest region. This is interesting and perhaps something worth investigating along with our previous ratings visualization. Let's build one final chart using the Visual Explorer to tie this analysis together. Let's filter on Dwight and check his rating across each region. It looks like Dwight's average rating was the lowest in the Midwest too. Was this because he wasn't giving these folks discounts? With the Visual Explorer, we can answer this quickly as well. Let's drag discounts into size to answer this question. Sure enough, this new visual tells us that Dwight isn't discounting the Midwest orders very much, which might be why they're being returned. I wonder if we slice this by quarter, what it might tell us. This looks interesting. Let's make it a little more pleasing to the eye by adding some color. In this window, you can manually assign colors to specific series within your data. Let me show you how it works. I can select the palette I want, assign it, and apply it. And then assign colors manually to the data point of my choosing. Boom, manual color assignments. This is perhaps one of the most requested features by you all, our customers. And here it is, natively in Mode. No more editing HTML for manual color assignments. This is huge, and it's all here within this one system. Okay. As we finalize this quick ad hoc analysis, keep in mind that these are just a few of the many discrete features that our new Visual Explorer can power. This new system is great for exploratory analysis. It will give you more granular control to build the things you want to build. Speaking of building, Mode is building the foundation upon which we're going to be extending and making future iterations upon in order to bring you and your teams the answers you desire to the many questions you all have about your data. You all have spoken, we have listened, and now Mode is delivering Visual Explorer to you. This concludes the demo portion of today's webinar. Thanks for watching. James, back to you.
Thank you very much, Johnny. And I see a question that came in from Akhilesh Kumar. Any live examples of Visual Explorer used for data analysts in analytical chemistry? I can say we don't have any currently up for analytical chemistry. We don't have those data sets just yet. However, You can absolutely use Visual Explorer for analytical chemistry and really anything with data science, because we give you those tools and the tools that you need to explore the data at your will. So with that, we want to open it up for questions from the audience. Please, please, please. I know a few individuals have put in questions in the Q&A. If you have any additional questions, we will attempt to answer as many as we can before the end of today's meeting. So with that, let's go ahead and get started with just a few. And again, as we're going along, if you have any questions, please go ahead and enter it into the Q&A. So let's go ahead and answer a few questions. So I'll do one from an anonymous attendee. Are there no limits to columns? What are the limits to columns or rows? That's probably the best way to phrase that. So is there a limit that people can add? Or yeah, I'll let you answer that, Ying.
Yeah, hey, great question. So there are technically no limits to the number of fields you can add to columns or rows, but we do have limits in the amount of data we can render. So for example, each time you basically nest fields together, you're increasing the cardinality of the data that you're trying to render. And there are browser limits to that. When you hit those limits, you will see an error message appear in the Visual Explorer, but we will not crash your browser. So those are all technical limits.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that answer. And next up, I have one where I believe we may be able to provide a little bit of an illustration. Not illustration. Anyway, is Visual Explorer available on the free studio plan? So with that, one thing that we believe here at Mode is that people should be able to use Mode if they're working with Mode. So yes, it is available on the studio plan. That being said, for those interested in enterprise and business plans, you absolutely will get our full support and enthusiasm for it. And it also gives the ability to really maximize the capabilities of Visual Explorer while you're using Mode. So for your answer, yes, it is. But to fully maximize the capabilities of Mode and all we have to offer, we encourage you to consider the business and enterprise plans. And next question, let's see. Do we need to write something in SQL first? And this is from an anonymous attendee. Do we need to write something in SQL first, then use Visual Explorer? I am not a coder and SQL scares me. So this is something where, Ying, would you like to answer that question?
Yeah, sure, I can take it. And feel free to also jump in as well. So what you can do in Mode today is we do offer a feature called Explore Mode. And what you can do is basically any existing report there, if you hover over a chart, you'll see like a little Explore button. And what that does is that kicks you off into Explore Mode, where you can then use the data that your analyst curated for you to then explore and create your own visual analysis on top of that. So the Visual Explorer is available in Explore Mode, and that's one way you can create visualizations without having to write SQL.
And Ying, if you could stay on the line real quick, we have another one, and I figure this might be a pretty common question. So with Visual Explorer available, and this is from an anonymous attendee, is there any reason to still use quick charts?
Yeah, great question. I think that Visual Explorer and quick charts serve different purposes, and depending on what you're looking for, both will serve really well. So I think Visual Explorer is really great for data exploration, for creating more complex visualizations. And I think quick charts are really great for maybe you don't want that complex or flexible environment. You just want to create a really simple bar chart or line chart, and you want to do it really fast.
Thank you very much. And we have another question, and I think this is probably important because I know a lot of people probably have the same question. So it looks like Visual Explorer is like Tableau. What's the difference between Mode and Tableau? And ultimately, it comes down to workflow. And that's one thing that here at Mode, we are very, very proud of. So with analysts, for example, they have that ability to have that SQL first workflow. And also for individuals who are a little bit more downstream, they have the ability to use that information to answer questions for themselves very, very quickly. And Derek, you're on. Would you like to speak with that? I saw your camera pop on for a second.
Yeah, that's right. So I wanted to address this one. So yes, I think in terms of the interface, there are definitely similarities to Tableau. Both products are based on that grammar of graphics framework, which is really the best way to do visual exploration. The things that we hear from folks who choose mode instead often have to do with connectivity to data. It's not so much that you have to write SQL, it's that you get to, or you can write SQL or Python. Like there's another question in here that is, hey, can you go from SQL to a data frame where you work with Python a little bit and then into the Visual Explorer? And the answer is not yet, but that is coming. And that's the point, right? The difference is not in any small piece of functionality within Visual Explorer itself. The difference between the two products is in the entire capabilities of what mode does versus something like Tableau that is focused just on visualization.
Excellent. Thank you.
Two for one right there.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that question. And we're answering questions today. I see there's an anonymous attendee who says none of my questions are answered. We go through the questions. We'll get to as many as we can. And I do apologize if we don't get to your question today, but we're kind of knocking them out for everyone and going down the line. So, thank you very much for your question, and we'll attempt to answer as many as we can. So next question. Let's see. Oh my goodness, I'm trying to find another one. Okay, so can we import data directly from a local source to mode? And that means without connecting to a database. So I'll give that to you.
Yes, so currently that is something that is not available in mode, but that is certainly something that we often hear a lot about and are looking to do in the future.
Excellent, thank you for that. And let's go to another question. And this might be one a little bit more for Johnny. So can we create a new table in mode from scratch and then use this table in Visual Explorer to play around with the data?
Certainly. So in mode, when you query your table directly into mode via the SQL editor, what you can do is you can click that add chart button, which will allow you to create a brand new visualization using the Visual Explorer. So once you have your table stored in mode, all you have to do is click that Visual Explorer button, and that'll allow you to use the Visual Explorer from that table.
And Johnny, if you could stay on just for a quick second, we have another question from Robin Sarak. Let's see, is there a scripting language underpinning the calculations feature that we can leverage for more complex calculations?
Yeah, so I think this might be directly related to the calculated fields, if I'm not mistaken, and Ying can correct me here if I'm wrong, but there isn't a way to update those calculations directly within mode. Those are essentially proprietary on our side, and I don't know, Ying, if you wanted to speak any more on that, but I know that the calculated fields that are available in mode are the ones that we offer today.
I think just to follow up on that, if you have a specific question about something that you want to do, just reach out to mode support and they'll be really helpful. This is the sort of thing that we're really great at triaging and working with.
Awesome. And let's continue on. And I guess we'll take just about 2 or 3 more questions. And Johnny, I will pass this one to you. It's from Avil. Can I add an input field, for example, free text, drop-down selection from a data set to be used in the table? For example, making the manager filter just shown in the demo to be a custom field users can change themselves.
Yes, so what you can do on this particular piece is you can add a report filter that folks will be able to edit themselves on the view side of the report. I can actually show you how to do that really quickly. So if you go to the edit version of the report, I'll share my screen, and then you go to the report builder. all you would have to do is select this drop down on the right. So this add filter button is what you'd want to do. So this account manager is selectable by your end user. All you have to do is click add filter, and you can select from any of the columns that you've been returned from your data source.
Excellent. And I have another question from an anonymous attendee. So top 3 companies who use Mode well. So as far as top 3 companies who use Mode well, I think the best way to respond to that is that we work very, very well with disruptors in the industry, to include some well-known names as Lyft, DoorDash, Everlane, VMware, Patreon, Greenhouse, Shopify. And these are all organizations that work with a lot of data that are really shaking the world up in the industries that they currently are dominating. So those are great examples. They're on our website as well. And if you'd like to learn more about how individual companies use Mode based on industry, you can go ahead and reach out to our customer success reps, just like Johnny, who can walk you through that process and best practices. So we're just going to take one more question. Apologies, we have there are a lot more questions, but I'll answer just this one. If you have additional questions that you would like to ask, if you could go ahead and get in contact with us. And importantly, Nancy, if you could post up the response for getting in contact with us. We just want to make sure for everyone on this call, if you have a desire, if you would like us to reach out to you to learn more about Visual Explorer, we want to make sure that we answer all of your questions as much as we can. So last question, can I use all of these Visual Explorer features in an embedded dashboard? So a white label embedded dashboard. And I'll pass it off to Ying.
Hey, I was just typing my answer to that one. The answer is yes, you should be able to. So the Visual Explorer is integrated into the Mode ecosystem just as any other product would be. So anything you theoretically could do in Quick Charts, you should be able to do in Visual Explorer.
Awesome. Thank you. And as a parting note, so one, thank you everyone for submitting your questions, for being a part of this launch day presentation. We are extremely, extremely excited to get Visual Explorer off the ground. And there's one final question I see here. So what's the best way to engage with the Mode community? Now, there are a lot of ways to engage. Of course, there's Twitter. Of course, there's Reddit. Of course, we actually have a blog that's currently being run by by Ben, I guess, Ben Stancil, who's also a co-founder. We have many ways to engage with us, but the most important one is really just to reach out to someone on our customer success team who can really get you started with your Mode journey. So with that, I think it's time to say goodbye. So I want to thank everyone again on this call, as well, all of our wonderful presenters, Ying, who is our product manager, Johnny, who is our incredible guru for customer success, and of course, Derek, who is the leader of the organization. But I also want to thank some behind the scenes people as well. So we have Nancy, who is currently actually running this webinar, as well as Samara and Carrie, who are providing amazing support in organizing this entire presentation. So with that, thank you all for your attention and have a great day.